No history of Arnold Palmer or the Latrobe Country Club could be written without addressing the man who defined the heart and soul of both institutions. Milfred J. Deacon Palmer was born the first son of Alexander and Agnes Palmer on March 22, 1904 in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. The hands that in the early 20s guided the shovel that sculpted the first 9 holes of the Latrobe Country Club would a decade later sculpt the mind, body, and game of one of the greatest legends that any sport has ever produced.
Children should be seen and not heard, and if you put it on your plate, you eat it. And to get the car, my God, to get the car, you practically had to die, or need to go to the hospital, or, it was pretty tough. My dad had principles, and as long as you were under his roof, you lived by his principles. I mean, there was no getting out of it. You lived by his principles, and if you didn't want to, then you didn't have to be, it's the old story. You didn't have to be there. It's your choice. We all wanted to be there.
In 1921, Deacon was a member of the construction crew for the 9-hole golf course that was being built by the Latrobe Electric Steel Company. When the job was completed, Deacon was kept on as a member of the grounds crew. He taught himself to golf.
He also found that he could play the game of golf, and found that he had an interest in teaching.
During the Great Depression, Deacon was given the responsibility of being both groundskeeper and club professional, as the club could no longer afford to pay for both positions. Deacon, his wife Doris, and their young family lived in a home along what is now the 5th hole.
Having been born just prior to the Depression, I was raised in the Depression, and only knew that food and money and recreation and things such as that were very, very difficult. And my father was a very hard-working golf course greenskeeper, and of course became the pro greenkeeper at Latrobe Country Club, and that was in the 30s and also during the Depression. And I can recall much difficulties in being raised in those days. He was a tough taskmaster, and but I suppose that I appreciated him more because he always had food on the table, and it was fun. And you can say, why would you say that? Well, because the family was very close, and we did things together. We went to a movie once a week. It cost 15 cents to go to the movie, a dime to get in, and 5 cents for an ice cream after the movie. And we thought that was great. We looked forward to Saturday mornings when we could do that.
Oh, it was free and easy. Yeah. We were back country, no automobiles to speak of. Running all over the place in our bare feet, cows getting out of the pasture and running on the golf course. Typically country, western Pennsylvania. Very beautiful.
Golf professionals in the 1930s weren't particularly respected by the club members they served. Rather, they were often looked upon as servants, and Deacon Palmer endured his share of frustration.
When my dad went to work as the golf pro in those days, like little children, the pro should be seen and not heard. And any employee around the club at that time was, an employee. But they never minded that. They understood that. They understood their position, as did anyone in that position at that time. Arnie and Lois Jean, more than Sandy and I, were very aware of what their positions were here at Latrobe. The people here were not bad people. They were good people and good to my parents, but there was still a place for them, and everybody knew their place.
Arnold Palmer grew up in the shadow of a hard-working father who was a strict taskmaster. Although Deacon was proud of the accomplishments of his famous son, he was known to abruptly answer the innocent question of an unwitting reporter, authoritatively telling him that he had 4 children, and that he was equally proud of each of them, and that one was no more special than the other. Around the world, Arnold Palmer was known as one of the greatest golfers of all time, but at the Latrobe Country Club, he was simply known as Deke's boy.
Arnold Palmer grew up from a little greenskeeper's son to a well-respected man, not only nationally, but internationally in his sport. In doing so, he made enough money that he could buy his father the place that his father built but never owned. And my father, appreciated it probably more than he would ever be able to, or I would be able to say. It was just a deep appreciation of what Arnie did.
In February of 1976, Milford J. Deacon Palmer left his beloved Latrobe Country Club for the last time, leaving behind a legacy of hard work, family, and respect as an enduring legacy for the world to admire.